To date, there have been 23,000 cases of AIDS in this country. More than half of the victims have died. No disease in recent memory has caused such fear and such revulsion as AIDS. Its victims are locked out of life, shunned and abandoned. But Sunnye Sherman is different. She's a woman, she's not gay, and she has not been left alone. Sunnye Sherman and her family are too strong and too loving to be torn apart by AIDS. She and her family have a rage to live.
AIDS has no barriers. It does not discriminate. It will strike wherever it's introduced.
Today, Sunnye Sherman is coping with AIDS bravely.
Night time, Dad.
Thanks to her own powerful will to live and her family's devotion.
Nobody is safe from AIDS, and I think that people need to be aware of that they can't just walk around and think, oh, it's never going to happen to me.
Crushed her toes earlier.
Oh. Bye.
Last year, when we first met Sunnye, she told us how it happened to her. It was 5 years ago. She had never heard of AIDS, and not knowing the risk, she slept with her bisexual fiancé.
I did have a relationship for over a year, in particular with a man that I was engaged to, and I knew that he was bisexual.
She broke off that engagement when her fiancé would not change his lifestyle. 2 years later, Sunnye developed a chronic skin rash and flu-like symptoms. In October of 1983, days after her 33rd birthday, she learned she had AIDS.
Professionally, I lost my job. The reaction basically was, don't come back and don't tell anybody why. That was their initial reaction, and it was a lot out of fear.
Man, is that your sister? Well, yeah.
While fear caused some to abandon her, Sunny's family rallied with unstinting support and loyalty. Ina, her divorced mother, is a registered nurse, so she can help Sunnye with some of her medical needs. But the entire family has pitched in to help Sunnye weather some of the emotional consequences of having AIDS, a disease so feared in our society that it tends to isolate its victims.
They need the medical care, but more than anything, they need love and support, first from their family and, of course, from their friends. They need people not to turn away from them. They need people not to treat them like lepers.
At that time,
Sunnye decided early on to fight not only the disease, but the public fear and ignorance that accompany AIDS. Unlike other patients, she went public.
What were your feelings toward the individual from whom you contracted the disease?
Sunny's former fiancé was later tested and found to be only a carrier of the disease, which means he doesn't have the disease but can pass it on to others.
When we were engaged, it was 1980, nobody ever even heard of the word AIDS. He is healthy. He's fine. We talk on the phone. I have no animosity against this man.
The public seemed to relate to Sunnye as an AIDS patient more easily because she didn't fall into either category of its usual victims, homosexuals or intravenous drug users.
Being a woman with AIDS and being a heterosexual woman with AIDS, it may sound ironic, I feel special in a way, and that's maybe because I am able to try to help educate the public and lend support to other people with AIDS.
Sunnye was one of the first women in this country to contract AIDS. 5 years ago, she was working as a legal secretary in a Washington law firm. She was vivacious and fun-loving, attractive with an active social life. When Sunnye was diagnosed, only 144 women in the country suffered from AIDS. Since then, that figure has increased 10 times, and as the AIDS epidemic has grown, so has public fear. Last summer, 18 months into her illness, Sunnye was still fairly active and independent. She had her own apartment, traveled, and made public appearances. But since then, things have changed drastically for Sunnye. She can no longer care for herself. She has trouble walking. She's had to give up her apartment and move in with her mother, who's had to hire a licensed practical nurse to care for Sunnye while she's at work. AIDS is taking its toll.
It's a horrible disease. And it just attacks anyone at any time. It takes advantage of unsuspecting people. And I don't think it has any mercy.
She's too weak to do much more than lie on her couch and watch television. Even this she has to do with the aid of an amplifier. The drugs she's taken to fight countless infections have not only caused her to become diabetic, but have impaired her hearing. Now she's almost deaf.
How do you feel today? I know that you have traditionally been a fighter.
I think I'm still fighting, but I also think that there are days when I just sort of, I'd like to give up, or at least take a nap, that type of thing. I'd like to have a chance.
Take a break from the battle?
The medications her mother administers daily are experimental. In some cases, drugs no other person has tested before. They're part of the research program at the National Institutes of Health where Sunnye is being treated.
Open, dear.
Alongside her daughter, Ina has learned a great deal about AIDS and has become an advocate for others suffering from the disease.
Yes, it's Wednesday, honey.
As a nurse, you've now transferred to NIH, and you're working with AIDS patients along with Sunnye. What have you found?
Well, I have found that a lot of these people need just what I am, a Jewish mother. And Sunnye calls me everybody's Jewish mother. And they need that.
Sunny's parents, it turned out, also needed each other. Last year, Sunny's father, Murray, moved back to Washington from Florida. After being divorced for several years, they plan to remarry.
If any one thing helped bring us back together, it was our daughter. My main concern was to do everything I could for her, keep her with us, and to keep the family unit together.
Well, she is with Sunnye.
9-month-old Tanya is Sunny's niece.
So Tanya, today is a big day for you.
Yep, 9 months old.
Last year, when doctors told Sunny she did not have long to live, Sunny told her brother of her determination to see his baby born.
I see Sunnye light up. She lights up when she sees that kid, you know. Well, Sunnye said to me before Tanya was born, I hope I live long enough to see this baby. And it's kind of like a shot in the arm for her to see the kid. It really is. I mean, I hope that there'll be another day, every day, that she can.
Dave and his wife Karen are typical of this remarkable family. They disposed of their initial fears about AIDS when they learned that it cannot be transmitted except through blood or sex. They do not feel Tanya is at risk being around Sunny.
I don't see her getting AIDS or any of us getting AIDS. I mean, it's just not contagious. That's all there is to it.
I don't think that this virus is a danger to her. I don't think it's a danger to us. We're not going to take a chance with our child. She means everything to us.
The time when AIDS was most contagious, I was very close to my sister, and we didn't even know she had it. I shared glasses with her and ate off the same plate, the same fork. I don't have it.
Sunnye, how do people treat you knowing you have AIDS?
I've never had anybody go, you have AIDS. No. There are people who do react that way.
You know, people do react poorly to AIDS. That's obvious.
Indeed they do.
We've seen it.
Indeed they do.
Have you experienced anything within the family or?
Well, within the family, the youngest boy's wife, she absolutely would not listen, would not learn, would not believe, and kept him away from us. Not only Sunnye, all of us, for over a year. And then they decided that a divorce was the only answer.
One of the few times Sunny does leave her living room world is when she's taken to NIH for regular checkups and treatment. Last fall, after her 6th bout with a severe form of pneumonia, even Sunny's doctors were skeptical of her chances.
Thanks, Daddy.
The average survival is probably only somewhere between a year and a year and a half, so that with her survival now at 2.5 years and still she's doing relatively well, she's doing much better than the vast majority of AIDS patients.
Dr. Henry Mazura has been treating Sunny throughout most of her illness.
Sunnye has always been convinced that she's going to do well, that she's not going to let the disease get her. She has a very positive attitude. She's had a very supportive family who have helped in a lot of emotional ways and a lot of practical ways with their health care.
You got to be a fighter in life. You can't let it kick you around, and She is. She's a heck of a fighter.
And her attitude, believe me, has done as much as all of our help and all of the doctors' help. It's the patients who give up in their heart and soul and mind who are the ones who go the fastest.
That's why your daughter's alive today, you think?
I believe it. That and the dear Lord. Nothing could shake our faith.
We don't ignore the fact that Sunnye is on borrowed time. And she has been.
Have you found a way to cope with Sunny's future? Or the inevitable?
The inevitable is that she's going to die.
Sunny, what are your thoughts about death?
The closer I get to death, the more difficult it is to talk about it.
You have lived longer than many people who have AIDS. To what do you attribute that?
I guess my positive attitude. I don't want to go yet. There's still a lot of stuff happening. And I want to beat all the others out.
You want to beat him out?
I want to be able to say, I know what, I did it.